That sounds like a Saturday to me.
Today.
Thanks. Yeah, it's my longest run since the 10 miler. Dude, but like there was something in my shoe, like a rock or a pebble of some sort. Like my feet,
don't get a
dude, my feet hurt so bad. I was worried, like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to make it. But I think there was just something in my shoe that was like digging into it. So I think not gonna bring those shoes, gonna bring a different pairs, So hopefully it'll be good because like I'm like struggling to walk around the house.
Oh no. I told Pam, I was like, watch, he's gonna slip on some ice and get hurt.
Yeah. I know. That's why you should just never train. That you should just never run. That's
Yeah, exactly.
I'd rather just get hurt on the course, not like the week before.
Show and go.
I mean, I've done it before. I've gotten hurt during the full 1 year.
That's what Pam said. Remember when he got hurt during the race? I'm like, yeah, I was there. Whole time.
At least it was during the race and not training for the race, right?
Yeah.
A hero. From Disney. I was going to put the hashtag Van Disneyland. Cruise.
You showed up at Ellis Teco. Were you like sweating at Ellis Teco? Were you like,
I was hot, man. Yeah. We ate on the roof, but I mean they kind of have it enclosed right now because of obviously in the winter.
Did they make you because you stunk? Because you just
no. It was funny, so I had to like run by it. Like I got the Ellis Teco like 3.7. I had to run by it. Then I just went into campus, ran by Sparty, ran by the football stadium, the basketball stadium, then just turned right back around. And I hit 6.2 right as I got in front of Ellis Teco. Like I timed it perfectly.
When you said Sparty, I thought you meant the fuzzy, like, costumed guy.
Oh, no, the Sparty, baby.
I didn't know like that. Then I, showed Pam, and I was like, oh, well, this must
be. People were freaking out when they saw me taking the selfie. Like that thing is well protected at all times, for like vandalism. Like people saw me up close to it and were like freaking out a little bit.
Really?
Oh yeah. Like we keep that thing guarded.
That's crazy. That's so cool.
You don't want some Wolverines coming through and spray painting it blue and yellow. I mean,
no. So they're busy right now. They're probably not worried about it at the moment. But yeah, so okay, we got to start. But Paige text, they're having their first road trip. They're starting the regular season tomorrow against Murray State in Kentucky, and then Sunday they play Belmont in Nashville. So they flew to Kentucky, somewhere in Kentucky today. So I see on social media they put a picture of the road trip. So it shows them getting on this plane, and this plane's a prop plane with like one seat on each side. It's a little bitty plane. And then like she sends a picture of one of the coaches in the co-pilot seat. I'm like, Paige. I'm like, I know you're not in the SEC anymore. Like, but come on now. I know it's a mid-major, but you're in a prop plane and now you got a coach flying the thing. She's like, we're just kidding about the coach flying, but that was the plane. I was like, oh man, but it was a turboprop. But I mean,
that's crazy. That's part of the job description for the.
That's what I said. I was like, I know, because she goes around on the home games. She drives like a church van and goes and picks all the girls up for the games. It's crazy.
Quick briefing on just in case.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, Paige, you need to go back to Mizzou. I mean, I like your UIC gig and everything, but if you're up in the cockpit, there's something wrong with this gig. Anyway, yeah. Because I texted her right away. I was like, tell me that was a joke. Because I was at dinner. I was like, your coach is not really flying the plane, correct? No, she's not.
That's funny.
All right, here we go. Welcome to episode 2220 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com. and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Wednesday to you. Hope you're having a great midweek, and all the lizards are settling back into, just settling back in without too much pain, because even settling in can be painful at this point for some of us, but hopefully a lot of clinging and clanging around your office or around your house with those medals that you earned out at Marathon Weekend. But more importantly, hope you have lots of memories to cherish for years and years to come. We're proud of you. We hope you had a great Marathon Weekend. Of course, we're recording this one a little bit early so that we have this on the feed in time so you never miss a show. And so far, knock on wood, we've always had good fortunes that everybody has come back safe and sound after the races, and we're hoping the same for 2023. So today we're not going to do listener questions. We're going to take a break from that this week. We'll jump back on those next Wednesday. But today we're going to have a fun show with a fun crew to get you through your Wednesday, get you back to reality. And if you didn't go down for marathon weekend, hey, we missed you. Joining me today from up in the mitten, we have Scotty G. What's up, Scott? How you doing? Happy 2023 and welcome home.
Happy 2023. Good to be back home. Mike, it always makes me nervous when we record the post-marathon episode early because I have no idea how it went, but I'm just going to say, let's hope it went well. Everyone crushed it, had a great time, made some great memories, and I'll just leave it there. Let's just hope we had a great time.
Well, during bowl season, and, sad to say that by the time the show comes out, college football has ended. Think about that. That is the most depressing thing. So just got spring training to look forward to at this point. But I saw a poster in the seats. I think it was at the Military Bowl, where you could tell it was just folks that went to the game from that area, in Annapolis or wherever they played the game. And they weren't fans of either team necessarily. They just wanted to go for the experience of the game. And so they held up a sign that just said, I hope both teams have fun, because they weren't necessarily, fans of either team. They were just there for the experience. So let's just hope, 25,000 or so runners and spectators all had fun, right?
Had fun and had great weather. That's what I'm really hoping for. Let's have some great weather, some good pool time, and let's hope we got some good miles in.
And as at the time of recording, and we have good flights. Hopefully, that's a very out of context joke by the time this show comes out, and you're like, what are you talking about? But at this time, that's what people are more worried about than weather. So anyway, we're gonna have a special guest joining us today. You know him; he calls into our Sunday night shows. He's our good friend from up in Nebraska, Mr. Cornhusker himself. We have Wade. Wade, thanks for coming on the show with us today.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Thanks, Scott. It's good to be here. And yes, Happy New Year, everybody. I can't believe it's 2023. And I am confident that everybody had some good miles. I always figure if I'm not going to win it, and I've never won it, I'm just going to go have a good time. So just get through it injury-free, enjoy the run, enjoy the ride, the hay's in the barn at this point. And I'm sure it went great for everybody. So
that's always the saying, the hay's in the barn. Is it really in the barn though? Like, that's my thing. Everybody tells me that, like, what? Because I have a hard time cutting it off, before the thing, and I'm always worried my hay's not in the barn or somebody left the barn door open. I get my analogies all mixed up. My sayings. I don't know. It makes me nervous.
Well, there's nothing I can do about it now, so it better get done. So we'll see how it goes.
Let me ask you this real quick, though. Of course, we don't know about this year's, but what's one of your favorite memories from a marathon weekend in the past? Something you remember, because we haven't talked to you about this. And, do you have a specific memory of something that stood out past marathon weekends you really love?
I do actually. Probably my first Goofy, which I really didn't. I really didn't know how to handle running a half marathon and a full marathon back to back. And of course, everybody I told that I was doing that, first they say, just like Dopey, what are you, crazy? Mm-hmm. Why would you do that? That makes no sense. And so I remember I was at the expo, and I went up, got in line, wanted a picture with Jeff Galloway. And I said, well, I'm doing this in a few days. I normally do, 90-30 run walk. And he kind of talked to me. He said, you know what? I think you might be better off doing 60-30 if you've never done a half marathon, a full marathon back to back. And I said, well, I'm not planning on winning it. And he looked at me like, well, exactly. And so
he says, what kind of attitude is that, sir? You should go for the win. I'm an Olympian. No, just kidding.
Give it a run, do it. And so he gave me the advice to do that. And I'll tell you what, it got me through, because it really helped me think, okay, it's about endurance. It's not about speed. It's about doing it, not killing yourself on the half marathon, and then having enough in the tank on Sunday for the full marathon, which it was still tough. I mean, it was still a tough. It got warm. It got warm that Sunday, as it seems to get warm on most every marathon Sunday now. But it got me through. So, and it was an accomplishment that I still look back on thinking, I did it. I made it. And so here we go with Dopey.
That's a good thing for those of us that have made it once. It's like we can tell ourselves, like, I have made it to the finish line once. Like, it is doable. But then you got Jason Miller, who's live with us here on Facebook as we record, saying, I've raced Ironman and I think Dopey is more challenging. So thank you very much, Jason. as we get ready.
He's just being kind. That's a false statement.
Well, I mean, that's nightmare fuel too for us, prior as we're recording before we go down and, it's coming out after. So anyway, today's topic, we're going to have some fun with this. And I think this is something that you might want to play with your family as you're driving down the street, going on a road trip or maybe just talking via text. I thought this would be kind of a fun discussion to have within your family or within your friend group. And because I've wondered this. Okay, so here's the proposition for today's show. You get to go on a property, anywhere on property. You can go into the resorts, you can go into the theme parks, you can go into the restaurants. You could go behind the scenes, you could go in custodial, you could go in people that work in, the infrastructure to make sure everything runs right, maintenance. You get to go in and ask one cast member one question. And they have to answer that, sit down. You only get one cast member, one question. Now, of course, we're going to go around a few times and talk about this. But if you could select a cast member and ask them one question that you think would be like the most interesting answer in the world, something you just love to know. For example, I'll throw mine out real quick. And this is, just something that, I've always wondered. So if I could speak with one cast member who works on the concierge level at the Grand Floridian, what is the one request from a guest on the concierge level at the Grand Floridian that just blew you away? Something maybe not that was like a, excessively expensive request, but something that was just, I don't know. What do the young people say? Extra, something that was like totally bizarre and was really challenging to take care of. And you just kind of, as a cast member, you have to say, oh, absolutely, we'll take care of that, ma'am or sir, and you get the job done. But in the back of your head, you're thinking, okay, how am I going to do this? And why would anybody need this done? Something like that. So that's just an example I'm going to throw out there. So if I could speak with a cast member on concierge level at the Grand Flow, what is the most extra request you've ever gotten from a guest? And I'm sure you might get a story there because I like questions that lead to stories. And so we'll see where we go with this topic today. So I'll go to Scott. Scott, who would you ask and what would you ask?
Well, before I get to that, what would be your experience, Mike? Like, have you ever asked anything extra from a concierge cast member at a resort?
No, because I've only stayed concierge one night, and it was like, it must have been, I mean, Mallory was a little baby. It was, our annual passes had run out. It was the end of the trip. We didn't have tickets that last night, so we stayed one night at the Beach Club concierge. And the only thing, we tore up the concierge lounge. I remember we ate like everything in sight. So I was trying to eat my money's worth of concierge lounge food. But I do remember Mallory destroyed the taffy on the desk. There was like a taffy bowl, like saltwater taffies in a bowl. I mean, I'm surprised she still has teeth. She destroyed, because she was only like 3. She just kept taking them. And I'm like, it's one night. We're on vacation. Go ahead, kid. Have at it. And the guy was cracking up because she just kept going down. Boom, boom,
now, that's a great question too. Like, what's the craziest consumption of taffy have you ever seen in a concierge lounge? And Mallory would probably be the answer. It sounds like
she was like on crack that night. She was crazy. But I mean, it was the last night of vacation. We took her down to Stormalong Bay. We ran around, went to Beaches and Cream. I mean, who cares? Then because back then I didn't fly, so we were in the car the next, 18 hours the next day. So what are you gonna do? So that's my concierge story, my one night of my life.
Yeah.
What about you?
So this is an interesting topic, Mike. And there was one thing that instantly came to my mind. Sorry, Wade, if I'm stealing this from you, if you had this one, but my favorite attraction is Kilimanjaro Safari. One of my like top 2 or 3, just love that attraction, love Animal Kingdom. And I would actually love to go one-on-one with a safari driver because I have a lot of questions for safari drivers. But the one I'm going to ask, since you told me, Mike, I only have one question, is how many times has someone dropped a camera or a cell phone on your safari vehicle? I want to know that answer so bad.
Right. I mean, because it has to happen. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever seen it happen?
I have not. I've been nervous. I've been very nervous because I see a kid like grab their parents' phone and like they're on the aisle, on the end. I'm thinking like they should probably be in the middle right now. This is really dangerous. And it makes me nervous. I have not actually seen it though.
Same. You know it has to happen though, because I've seen cameras dangling out there. I'm like, ooh, man, I hope that's not the latest iPhone. That's gonna be, $1,000 Nestle bar for that giraffe, or whatever. Makes me a nervous wreck. But I've never seen it happen. Wait, have you seen anybody drop a phone on the Safari?
I have not on the Safari, but it's funny you say that because I did write down. I wonder how many iPhones or Androids they recover, from the floor of Space Mountain, or in a day or a week, or Everest, because I did on Everest once the where you speed it up and do the entire ride while you're holding the phone, and it ends up being like 7 seconds long. And I tell you what, you are gripping onto that phone about as hard as you can when you're coming around backwards and and then forwards and all that. But so I've never seen it drop, but I have seen some people hanging out there with their phone thinking they're going to get the perfect, picture. And I'm like, you drop that, I'm pretty sure this Safari driver is not going to stop, put out the stop sign like a school bus and jump down there and grab the phone. So, but I guarantee you it's had to have happened, right?
Oh yeah. Totally. So yeah, I mean, it's the people tempt fate, and fate jumps in sometimes and bites you. But I haven't been on the correct Jeep yet. Okay, so let me ask you about that's a great question, Scott. So what about your question, Wade? Who would you ask and what might you ask?
Yeah, I have a bunch here, but I also think on the iPhone thing, you don't want to, you drop that thing at the top of Space Mountain, you don't know who you're going to hit in the head on the bottom of Space Mountain. So hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, now you can't even have the sucker out. There's a new rule. You got to put that thing away. No selfies.
Exactly. But there's a couple here, and one thing that I was wondering is, I walk in the droid depot and I've never made a droid, but I see these droids going around and around and around and around. That place is always packed. How many droids does each cast member make in one day, in one shift? In an 8-hour shift or whatever their shifts are. But I've got to believe it has to be hundreds of droids, 1,000 droids a day. But I would love to know, because those cast members are hustling back there with the parts and snapping them together, putting them together, making those things look great for the guest, and they're always smiling too. So maybe not most exciting, but just one of those, like, what's the volume of droids going through there that they are putting together?
That's a great question too, because as a guest, you're probably in there 15, 30 minutes at the most. So you see like a little snippet, but could you imagine over an 8-hour period, how many combinations? And yeah, you're right. I mean, I wonder if somebody like Len Testa stands there and counts the droids, that, and then adds
He's
it all.
Probably got someone on the team doing it, right?
That's crazy. Yeah, because you're right. I'd love to know the economics of this now that you're
got a pitch counter, he's counting pitches, he's counting pitches, click. And you think Hollywood Studios open. I mean, if you go, they open at 8 a.m. and maybe they're open till, at 8 p.m. I don't know exactly if the droid depot is open as long as the park is, but it could be 12 hours of, and that conveyor belt is just moving and moving pieces. So it's got to be an unbelievable amount of droids being assembled.
Okay, let's take that to next door. Okay, over to Savi's with lightsabers.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You guys, we're sports guys. Okay, let over under on this. In one day, let's say the studios is open 12 hours, 500 lightsabers in one day. Do you think it's over or under 500 lightsabers are made in a day? Scott, what do you think?
I think it's under 500. I feel like I just don't see that many like in the parks, but maybe like, I don't know, maybe they're not showing them off, but but if I had it, I would just constantly have it out, right? Like I would just constantly be doing like photo shoots with it. So I think it's got to be under. I'm not sure though. What do you think, Wade?
That's a tough one, because I think that it's hard to get an appointment to do that. So you got to think that all the appointments are booked, and it's a little bit more of a ceremony that they do when they build them. So if there's 50 an hour, it could be over 500. It could be, you start.
I guess it'd be good to know, like what is the how money can they crank out in an hour, right?
An hour. That's the thing you'd need to know, hourly capacity for the lightsabers.
Right, exactly. But I never see, I've tried to make the appointment. I've never done it because then, of course, my wife says, "What are you going to do with that when you get home?" So hang it on the wall. I don't know.
So, Mike, you always joke about, I've heard you say this multiple times, like the coolest thing would be to go on the plane with your lightsaber, right?
Oh, totally.
And you always talk about like leaving Orlando. I think it'd be even cooler, like if you're in St. Louis and you're just going down anywhere, right? And you just like nowhere, like you're in the middle of the country, nowhere near a theme park. You just going on your flight to St. Louis to Baltimore or whatever, and you have your lightsaber. Now that would be sweet.
Sure. Exactly. Well, yeah, totally. We have these real janky, shuttles that get you from from the terminal back to your car, because I park at the cheapest car lot, like parking lot E, which is, $6 a night. So it takes 15 minutes to get there. Yeah. So roll it in with a lightsaber lit up as you're getting in that, church van. Yeah, that'd be I need to do that now. That'd be kind of fun.
It doesn't have to be from leaving MCO or Anaheim, man. You can take it wherever you want to go because it's all TSA. TSA knows what they're looking for. It doesn't have to be Orlando's TSA. Like,
what is that?
Well, then you pick up the at Savi's, you pick up the Jedi hood and the robe and the whole thing, and so you just fire that thing up, on the flight to, like you said, the flight to Baltimore.
And just do a flight to nowhere, like just fly wherever and then come right back. Just get some miles.
I'm connecting to Batu.
There you go.
Just fly it around to a galaxy far, far away. Anyway, we're losing the train here. Okay, so my next question that I would ask, and because actually my wife and I talked about this over dinner tonight, and I thought this was a pretty good one. I would ask one of the cast members in Lost and Found, what is the craziest thing that you have seen come into Lost and Found over the period that they have worked in that role? Because I mean, I know you get the standard things, right? You probably don't even get cameras. I mean, I doubt you ever get cameras anymore because it can't, cell phones, but you probably get cell phones, sunglasses, hats, glove. Yeah, but I mean, they get random stuff because I mean, I lost one glove during marathon weekend one time and never. I mean, I tried to find that thing forever because it was a convertible mitten glove, and I love those set, and I couldn't find another set online anywhere, and I kept trying to get that one glove, but it never showed up.
So that's funny you brought that up because when we were at Ellis Teco tonight having dinner, I brought up the topic, and Elizabeth, the first thing she said was Lost and Found, like I wonder what they do at Lost and Found. It's funny you and Pam were talking about that too, and she brought up the glove. That's why I just had to say glove. Remember that one year Mike was just so obsessed with losing that one glove.
And I'm still not holding the grudge against Bankhead, but I gave it to Bankhead.
He's got it framed somewhere, in his office.
He got me a new set. It's all good. We got it. We figured it out. He didn't need to either. Like, it was totally fine. I actually have a full set, and I used them. Well, it was the wind chill was 37 below. It's like 65 here now, so it's like weather in St. Louis is nuts. But we're all good. I found another pair of the gloves, and we're set. But I just wonder, there has to be the craziest things brought in there. I would love to sit down. Okay, tell me the stories of. And then, when people come to recover those things, okay, this is your follow-up. How did you lose this? And why did you have this in Epcot? Or why was this thing in Disney's Hollywood Studios? Why did you feel the need to bring that to a theme park? So I think that'd be interesting.
I'm guessing about anything you can legally take in the park's probably been lost at one point or another. There's probably set of teeth, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
The set of teeth. That's great.
Who knows, right?
Yeah, but they're great though. I remember once we were with you, Mike, and Emily lost a new pair of mini ears or something at Animal Kingdom. I don't know if it was at the No Man Lounge or whatever. So we reported it in the app, and I remember hey, we lost it here, blah blah blah. When we got home 2 days later, boom, they showed up in the mail. It was so awesome. I know they're really good at their Lost and Found, but yeah, I just can't imagine some of it could just be anything, right? Oh man, it's so good.
We've actually gotten chargers that we've left behind in a hotel room, just iPhone chargers, just the the little cube and the cord. We left a few of those behind, and we just you call and you're not going to get it, but we'll make a call. Same thing. Yeah, that was, tell them the room number the day you're there, and boom, it shows up in the mail 3 or 4 days later. I mean, and that's the Disney difference right there. That's the stuff when you get that, you're okay, I appreciate that because that took a little time. They could have just said no because there's a million of, they could probably have as many as Apple at this point. Can you imagine how many of those things they would have? Because they probably get left behind, just constantly.
I know.
I mean, we had 4 or 5 cheerleaders spend the night last night at our basement. And I think there's 2 of them out there right now because they didn't take them last night. But tonight they'll all call when they go to charge their phones because they won't have them. Anyway, go ahead, Scott, give us another one. What you got?
But that made me think of something kind of funny. We left our swimming suits on the balcony at the Grand Californian one year.
Wait a second. Now, wait, you hung them on the balcony there? You're like a clothesline.
Yeah, kind of like, or maybe like the chairs. Like that's, I mean, they kind of air, they gotta dry out, you know.
Gotcha,
They never dry in the rooms, you know. but, but since it was like out west, right? Like I got a call at like 11 or 11:30 at night, and like I can see my phone, like I'm like, this is Disney calling me. Why are they calling me at 11:30? It was like Grand California saying, hey, you left these swimsuits, we're gonna mail them off to you. It's like, it just blew my mind. Like I was like in bed, like I don't think they were thinking about the fact that I was in Michigan when they were calling me. But anyway, that just was kind of a wild story. But my next question is going to be for someone kind of behind the scenes, Mike. I'm looking for someone kind of like in like finance, operations kind of area. Basically, the guy that can tell me how much does Walt Disney World make a day in parking fees.
Yes. Right.
I just want to know. We talk about this all the time. Like if we could just have 1 minute of anything that's happening in the parks, right? Just 1 minute of income, like I'll be set for life. But I'm gonna specifically just say 1 day of theme parks. I'm gonna bundle in the resorts too now, since there's resort parking fees. I want to know what you all make in one just normal. Just give me a random Wednesday in September. And how much did you make in parking that day?
Even if you break that down to say, like, take a random Wednesday in September from 1 to 3 in the afternoon. Can you, I mean, like, if you got that total, because I mean, you could even go like the slowest season, but parking fees for like an hour. Could you, like, I'd probably have a heart attack.
I would too. But like, I just got to know, like that number, like for some reason, I always like hone in on the parking. I don't know why, and I know there's a lot of pass holders that have cars that it's built in and on-site guests for the theme parks. But I know there's still a lot of like off-site people that are paying the park because I'm always behind them. I always am behind the person that is writing a check for their parking, you know, like I just want to get in. So I know people are paying, and it's not cheap, man. It's like what? Like, is it like $25 or $30, something like that?
It's a lot. It's it's not free. Let's just say that. And I mean, it's got to, you know, at this point, it's pure profit, right? What's it cost? Your parking.
Your parking lot's already paved.
I mean, yeah, it's not a whole lot of overhead. All right, wait, give us another one. This is kind of fun.
Well, you add those, like you said, Scott, so you add the hotel parking that's just added on to anybody that's not, I think that's not DVC, right? Is paying parking if you've got a car in those parking lots. So what's that, 15, 20, 25 bucks right now, I think.
And I don't know about you all. I see a lot of cars parked in every resort I'm at. Lots of cars.
You show up back to the resort late at night, you're like way out, you know. You got a 5K to get to your room. But you know, one thing that I've been thinking about, I've probably ridden Cosmic Rewind probably 6 or 7 times at this point, and twice gotten stopped because something's happening, and you hear the term code V thrown out there.
No.
And the garbage cans seem to get moved to the right at the exit in case you have a little piece of paper in your pocket, I guess, you need to dispose of when you get off the ride. But I'd love to know how many code V's happen in a day, which is getting sick. Yeah. I don't know if code V is a common term out there. I think it's Disney code. But you know, that ride, I think it's a blast. It's a great time. Mike, I know you've enjoyed it once. And,
yeah, I got to the precipice of Code V. Fortunately, Code V did not visit, but Code V was knocking on the door.
Just think, you kept the line moving. You didn't make those people behind you. What the heck's going on here? Why is there such a long wait right now? But I'd love to know how many times Code V. I mean, it sounds kind of gross, right? But it happens. It is a ride that is you know, extremely fun, but it whips you around and it can get those sensitive stomachs. So I'd like to know how many times they have to stop that thing and get the mop out, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go over under on that one. Do you think in an hour, do you think that happens 5 times? That's probably too high, I would say.
That's probably a little high.
Because 5 times an hour, you'd have to do something to the ride. Like at that point, that ride is not.
It's like Mission Space. They're going to have like a tame version or something, right?
I wonder if maybe it's 5 times a day. I mean, that could be, you know, because
there's still a lot, though.
Could be a lot, but there's 2 trains going, you know, 2 taking off at any one time, or you know, kind of alternating, I guess. So, I guess again, it'd be like a Len Testa question: how many trains or whatever are taking?
Do they have a guy standing there watching, counting?
Where he gets kicked out.
This has quickly turned into a statistical show, which I like. We'll have to take this to the next level in a couple of weeks or something. Okay, so here's one that we discussed over dinner tonight, and my wife came up with this one. I thought this is a great question because I've actually wondered this one many times. Okay, I want to ask a Haunted Mansion cast member, how many steps do you get in on a shift? Because think about it. They do part of their shift on that conveyor belt when you're getting on the dune buggy. I mean, it's not very fast. But if you say you work in, I don't know how long the shifts are. Say you work an 8-hour shift, and I know they work from position to position. They go out to the stretching room, and they get I just I've never worked as a cast member, but I always get I always see them. They get their little white slips, and everybody looks down. Okay, now you're booted out to this spot, and you're going to this spot, and everybody rotates. I like all that, but I mean, eventually you're probably going to go to the spot where you load everybody into the dune buggies and you walk the conveyor belt. I would say you probably do that a few times at least a shift. So it's probably not a lot of steps, but I would say that might be one of the spots where you get a few extra steps. I'd like to know maybe.
I love that question. What's funny is I don't even think about with Haunted Mansion, but I do think of it every single time I get off the Finding Nemo ride. And the seas, because that's where there's always someone doing that same exact thing right there when you get off. And maybe because it's more there's more light on them, or it's more in your face, because I always think of that every time I get off of that seashell or whatever we're in.
Well, plus you walk a half mile through the queue to get on the ride. Yes. I mean, that is the longest. They should just run the 5K through that queue and just call it a day. You get outside the ride, boom, start the race, you get on the ride to get your medal. You're done.
Dude, that's Indiana Jones at Disneyland 100%. That is the longest queue I've ever been in. When you get off, you're like, oh man, that was awesome. All right, well, it's going to be another 20 minutes until we get out of here, though. So.
Yeah, we get Bengal barbecue in about a half hour.
I was just about to say mobile order for Bengal barbecue in 40 minutes. We might make it.
I was thinking the same thing. Because you pour out right there. I was like, yeah, we'll get some pot stickers, in 30 minutes when we get through this. I think it's always when you're going on, too. You're like, hey, there's nobody in line. Look, we're moving. And then, bam, it stops halfway through. And you're like, aren't we there? Are we in downtown Disney right now? I think we went under the train and now we're somewhere over there. But
there's nobody in line. Actually, there's 27,000 people in front of you in line. It's just that deep. Yeah. That's how it works. Okay, Scott, give us another one. What you got?
No, this has been fun, Mike. So I want to speak to a food cart cast member now, and I want to know if they have an allotment of free items they can hand out in a day, and what that is. If they see someone with a birthday button or whatever it may be, maybe it's a A and B question, how many can you have, or what's the most you've ever given out for free on a given day, like a Mickey bar or a pretzel or whatever.
That is a good question. What's their leeway? What's their because
is there some type of policy, right? If everyone shows up with a birthday button, obviously you're not going to give 100% guest a free bottle of water. But if you see one every 20 minutes, maybe you can give a free birthday water, because that's happened to us before. We've gotten a free Mickey bar with a birthday button or whatever. It's happened to us. So I know it can be done. I'm just curious what that allotment is.
Yeah, because sometimes you'll see a little kid that'll fall and scrape their knee. Boom, they'll give them a Mickey bar. Right. Problem solved. I mean, I wonder if there is a hardened. I don't know. That's a good question.
And maybe there isn't a hardened rule. Maybe it depends on the cast member. But then they're doing inventory. Well, Wade, we actually lost money today with you working this churro cart.
You're getting great guest compliments all over social media, but you have not made $1 in the last 2 weeks.
Feeling generous with the churros.
Exactly.
That is the pure definition of a churro right there, Mike.
Yeah, the churro. Yeah, the unofficial guide, it's okay, here's the hot tip. Go to the churro cart in Frontierland, because Wade works on Tuesdays from 10 to 2, and he'll hook you up. That's exactly how that would go. That's a good question. Man, I love these because none of these have answers. Now I need to know. We need investigative journalism at this point. So
yeah, I mean, that's where Len's team could really benefit from listening to this episode, because maybe they're going to get a snack guy now, and they're just watching a cart all day,
totally,
and analyzing how many people are using their Magic Band or credit card, or just automatically get something handed to them without payment.
Yeah, but free? No, you paid. Oh, go on. Okay, so Wade, what else you got?
Well, I was thinking about that. I was thinking also, what's the most popular snack? But that wasn't the one I had here. I think that would be interesting to know is is the Mickey Premium bar the number one snack, or is it popcorn, or are they selling more bottles of Coke or water? It'd be interesting to know. Again, speaking of numbers, but I'm always curious about, because this seems to happen to me too. I usually feel sorry for it's usually a little kid, but on Flight of Passage, they give you so many warnings, like Mission Space too. I would probably kind of wonder about that one too, but they do have the green and the orange side. But with Flight of Passage, how many chicken exits are happen each day? How many people get to that point where they're like, no, I'm not getting on that thing. I'm out. I'll meet my family at the end. So it'd be interesting to know, because I do see it happen quite often.
Yeah, it's one of those things too, that by the time you get because I'm one of those people that I can usually make it. Like I've made Mission Space orange and green, both. But I psych myself out with all those messages, right? I'm like, okay, am I claustrophobic? Like I am kind of, but it's like, after the 8th message, I'm like, yeah, I probably really am claustrophobic, and I am going to barf as soon as I get in that capsule. I mean, I understand that they got to do it for liability reasons, so that you are absolutely informed of the experience. But I mean, it plays a mind game with me, and I have backed out, because like there's one time I'm like, I've done this before, but I mean, I haven't done this before after having what's it called? The restaurant San Angelo Inn. Like that. I'm just asking for trouble here. So I don't need to ride this that bad. 2 minutes is not worth it. I'm out. It's like, nope. God's talking to me right now. Step through the door.
Well, I felt that way with Mission Space once, Mike. Like, I don't know why we did this. I think they just refurbished it because they had like that new mission or whatever. And it was Marathon Sunday. We just finished the marathon, and you or Mallory or someone was like, let's do Mission Space. And we're like, okay. And I'm thinking like my heart's been racing for like the last 5.5 hours, and we're going to go on missions. When we buckled in, like I almost like hit like a panic button. Like I can't do this. Like, and then the poor people that sat in behind us, because like we just have marathon, like sweat all over the ride vehicle. Like, my gosh, like those poor people.
Oh, you're killing me.
I imagine Garmin's like beeping because your heart rate's going too high, right? It's like warning. Like I just ran a marathon.
Yeah. Yeah, they should never let anybody that ran the marathon do anything strenuous that day. They should just, you should not be able to get on a ride like that. Okay.
Right. I think too, it straps you in, right? That one you're claustrophobic, but also Flight of Passage. I see once that thing comes up on the back when you're on the Ecron, and all of a sudden you're in there, right? And people can't move. They're like, okay, hold on a second.
Yeah.
That's when they're like,
the worst is, and I think about this every time because it happened to me the first time. I think I was next to Mike, and like all of a sudden I had this itch on my knee, so I went to go do it, and I'm like, I can't get to my knee. It's metal.
Like Mike, I have an itch.
I have an itch. Like, and like I went to go scratch it, and then like the next 5 minutes has all I can think about is how bad I have to scratch my knee. And every time I get seated now, like I make sure like I itch every part of my body before I get in there.
We're living out there like Gemini 6, like with Jim Lovell and Gene Cernan. Like, imagine that for 14 days. Crazy. Oh man, this is okay. So let's go around the horn one more time. My last one I would ask is, if I could speak with one of the friends of the princesses, that does the meet and greets, I would just simply, and I think this is something that we've all, wondered as a parent, especially, like, what is that most touching thing, that experience that you've had in that role or working with that princess or prince, whoever, meet and greet character? What is that thing maybe that almost brought you to tears, or, was very emotional for you? Because I'm a super, like, I'm a sympathetic crier. Like, when I see a team that I don't even have like, investment in, like win a stupid Cheez-It Bowl or something, sometimes, and somebody overcomes something, I get a little choked up, and that's sad. I shouldn't be that emotional about things. So I don't know.
Being a father, it happens.
Maybe it probably, but the thing is, like, in a role like that, I'm sure that these characters in Walt Disney World are in situations many, many times where it's not just your, walk up, get the picture, hey, sign an autograph and move on. I'm sure there's a lot of emotional things that are said, or, stories that are relayed in that, 3, 4, 5 minute meet and greet experience. And I mean, these are human people, and I'm sure that they, they're there to spread the magic. And I'd love to hear, you know, what has been that most emotional story of somebody who has walked up to you to meet you, to get to meet Cinderella, or to get to meet Tiana, or to meet, you know, Prince Charming, or, you know, Navi, or whoever it is. I think that would be really cool, because I bet you they have the most amazing stories, because, and just to know that to stay in character, because I don't think I could, you know, to hold it all together. That'd be an interesting thing for me. I'd love to hear that. All right, Scott, last one. Let's go.
What are we gonna say, Wade?
You know, it's funny you say that, and I think about this, you know, Hugh obviously is down the Disney College program right now, and it's actually wrapping up, which is crazy. Time has just flown. But when he was very small, he knew we were going to go meet Mickey, and so he drew a picture. Mainly it was kind of scribbling and stickers and all that. And he took it. We just said, well, just go give it to Mickey. It was in Mickey's Toontown Fair, right? In his Mickey's house.
Yep.
And he walked up to Mickey and he said, we didn't know what he's gonna do. Handed it to him and said, Mickey, you're my best pal.
Yeah.
And gave Mickey a hug. And I tell you, us as parents, we're in the back, like, you know, like trying to hold it together, right? And Mickey took the picture, put it off to the side, gave him a hug, you know, spent a little time with him, got the picture and all that.
Yeah.
And we walked up and we looked back and the picture's still there. And so I'd love to know, do they keep the pictures? You know, what happens to the pictures?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
It's got to be a very touching thing to do.
I want to know what Eric thought when, like, hey, I'm not my little brother's best pal. He's like, it's some mouse.
Eric at that point's like, you know, I've been mentoring you here for 5 years, kid. I'm out.
Yeah, you're on your own, kid.
Right.
You could talk to a mouse that hardly speaks.
Exactly.
So there you go.
Yeah, so.
All right, Scott, you give us your last one. We got.
Yeah, I had a couple more, but I'm gonna go with an odd one here. All right, so bear with me for a second. So, one thing me and the girls like to do, we like to volunteer at our food bank here in Lansing, and we package all this food and it gets distributed throughout areas across Michigan that need help. And one cool thing they do at the end is they tell us how much pounds of food did we pack and distribute for our volunteer session. So it's always fun to get those statistics. So I want to know. So I'm thinking what's a heavy meal at Walt Disney World? And I'm thinking Liberty Tree Tavern.
Right.
How many pounds of food is cooked at Liberty Tree Tavern a day? You think about all the turkey, the pot roast, mashed potatoes. That's a heavy meal. How many pounds is coming out of that kitchen in a single day?
It'd have to be thousands, right?
Oh my God, hundreds of thousands, maybe. Well, maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know.
But you think one of those platters is I don't know, 5, 6, 7 pounds, maybe. I don't know.
Those platters are heavy when they got the turkey and the dressing and the mac and cheese. Yeah, you're right. I don't know.
Then the sub question would be, and I hate to ask this question, how much is wasted a day? That's just awful to know. But I just I would love to know, and just think about the whole resort wide, how much food is being prepared and cooked at any given time is just an outrageous number. That's fascinating insane to me.
Yeah, I've never thought about that until just this moment. My head just about exploded right off my shoulders. That's crazy.
Could you imagine the distribution of getting all the produce delivered or whatever? I can't imagine the amount of food coming in at all times then being distributed across property.
But see, that's the kind of stuff that made me initially back in the late 90s, early 2000s. That's why I really started falling in love with Walt Disney World, was the logistics of the place, right? That it's its own city, that, it has its own laundry facilities, it has its own roadsides, it has its own, way to get things done, that kind of stuff. That's
what got me really, hooked on cruise line, because then you're doing that all on a boat. That just crazy to me. But yeah, so it's got to be a ridiculous number of food at Liberty Tree a day. I don't know what the weight it would be, but it's got to be outrageous.
Man, I'll be wondering about this all tomorrow.
Maybe we can ask Sandy, our friend who works there. Could you give us what the average weight of one of those platters is, and how many do you serve a day?
Yeah, we'll have her one platter. How many are coming out of the window a day? An hour, every 10 minutes times 6.
Yeah, we don't need Len for this one. We got an inside person on the job.
We'll figure this out. All right, Wade, close us out. What do you got? One last question for one last cast member.
The one it's a little bit here. Jason Miller, our friend here, who says Dopey's harder than Iron Man. He's asking about how many cast members date and get married. I'm curious how many proposals are each each day, each week in front of the castle, in front of Cinderella Castle, because they say that that's the most photographed spot maybe in the world, right?
Right. Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. So how many proposals happen? I've witnessed, handfuls of them. You just happen to be walking by and you see it down on one knee. People are cheering, right? How many proposals happen a day? Maybe not just there, but maybe in Walt Disney World each day, because I'm sure there's other places that people want to want to pop the question. So I think
some people go to Chef Mickey's to do that sometimes.
Yeah, who'd do that?
Crazy.
That is crazy. No, okay, so I'll be honest. I've seen, if I had to guess, I've probably seen maybe 5 to 7 proposals in front of Cinderella Castle in my trips, but I've never seen any other place. I've only seen them in front of the castle.
I know one that happened by the there's a little gazebo. I think they do weddings there on by the boardwalk. Just I was gonna say ESPN zone, but before you get to there, you come over the bridge and there's a little space there. I've seen one there. So yeah.
That's where a couple of our listeners were married. Jay and Melissa, Seabreeze Point. We were in, I was in the wedding there. It was a great spot to propose because it's a great spot for a wedding.
There you go.
Awesome. It's a great spot. So how many proposals do you think you have seen over the years?
I've seen actually a couple at Disneyland. One, we knew the folks that were doing it, and we found out that day. And they said, "Hey, I'm going to do this, right?" We're like, "When are you going to do it?" He goes, "I'm going to like 10 minutes." I told him.
They don't trust you with the secret, obviously.
Yeah, what do you want us to do? Yeah, get the phone out. Do you want us to, So we did. And but I probably the same, probably 5, 6, 7 proposals.
But they happen all over property too, because I know of like I don't know if you guys follow like Mark Willard on Twitter. Like he's a great photographer. Like I think he's done it like on like at the Beach Club Beach, or he did at the Polynesian Beach or something like that. So I mean, just think there's so many like romantic spots all across property that I'm sure it's happening, or it's happening at restaurants at California Grill or things like that. Not Chef Mickey's, but
not there, of course. Well, I forget. I take that back though, because sorry, my dad's calling from LA. So I just muted. So I have seen some at the finish lines of Run Disney races. Jay proposed to Melissa, I think at Princess,
and that's the wedding you were just talking about.
Exactly. So there's a proposal, and I've seen a couple others at finish lines. I think that's a dangerous proposal, because I also see a lot of pixie dust on the ground at finish lines too, and you don't want to get down on one knee. I mean, you got to be careful with those finish lines, man. They're a little sketch. So
let me ask you guys this. So if you could do it all over again, it has to be Disney themed. Say like you're going to renew vows or whatever. Where are you proposing at Walt Disney World? I'll go first while you guys think about it. I'll go first. So Elizabeth, her family is like Italian. They have an Italian background. So I want to do it in Italy. And like that big like round circle that has like some steps like in the middle of the pavilion. I just want it to be us like there, and I'll just propose right there, like in the Italy pavilion. Nothing fancy.
Yeah.
It feels like you kind of have a stage a little bit, because you take those steps up. It's like a big area. So it feels like you're on a stage, and I don't know. That's what I'm going to go with.
Or Mama Melrose. I thought that's what you were going to say. Yeah. Over some spaghetti.
Over some spaghetti and meatballs, go Lady and the Tramp, and then like, here, will you marry me again?
What about you, Wade? What'd you do?
I may say the Savannah Point there at Animal Kingdom Lodge, because that was the first place we stayed as a family after my dad had passed away, and my mother was 20 years ago took us there, and I'd been to Disney World once, been to Disneyland a handful of times growing up, and so we stayed there. I had no idea what the hotel was about, the resort, nothing, and so that holds kind of a special place for our family. So I think that would be kind of a cool place to do it, right out there on that main Savannah off the lobby.
Yeah, I like that. That's especially like at sunset or something. Like, man, that'd be perfect.
Exactly.
So, Mike, what would be yours other than Mission Space? Obviously, what would be yours?
Yeah, that's a good one. Space 220. No, actually, here's one. So Riverside has gazebos over in the mansions area, and we stayed there quite a bit when Mallory was younger, like 3 to like 7. We were kind of there a lot. And I just remember when she was like 4 or 5, she said, "Oh, what's this?" Like we came out of our room and there was the gazebo there. And I said, "Oh, this is a place, sometimes people get married there. They have events." And she goes, "I'm going to come back here and I'm getting married in this gazebo." And so I remember one day, like I pretended to walk her down. It's like a little path, to the main path from the gazebo. And so I walked her down, okay, we'll practice right here. So that'd be kind of fun, because we said, you're going to get married there someday, because she wanted to, because she said it looks all fancy with the nice buildings.
I love it.
She's 4. It is very beautiful.
Happening when we were there back in November for Wine and Dine. A wedding was happening in front of one of the buildings. I never really thought about that, but it is those lawns they have kind of out in front of the buildings. And so there was a wedding. We went over and saw Hugh there. He was deployed over at Port Orleans Riverside that week. And so we went and said goodbye to him there. And there was a wedding happening. So we kind of got routed around and we were taking pictures. So I know exactly where you mean. It's really kind of some cool areas there.
Look at that 4-year-old's dream, wedding location. Perfect.
There it is.
And other ones. Well, hey guys, I appreciate you taking the time. This has been a fun show, and I hope people have this conversation with their loved ones, their friends, their families, as you're riding around the car, as you're, just hanging out at the office. I think it's kind of a fun topic just to bring up, and we'll do it again. So Wade, hey, appreciate you coming on the show today. It's been a lot of fun. We'll have to do this again. So thanks again.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Scott. It's always fun to chat Disney. So thanks for the invitation.
All righty. Hey, don't forget, today's show is always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. Check them out for all your Disney trip planning needs here in 2023. The agents are standing by right now to help you plan a great Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney trip. Just swing by themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. Supports everything we do throughout the year. So please click through the link when you do your shopping. Helps us out. Again, beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And a sincere thank you to the patrons of the show. You make all these shows possible. And so if you think this one was crazy, it's your fault. No, just kidding. But we appreciate you very much. And our patrons also get that bonus show called Mike in the Midwest. If you'd like to join us, we'd sure love to have you this week. Coming over, patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. You can follow me on the social media. I'm at beourguestmike on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow Scott at epscott, EPSCOT. Wade, are you on the socials, and where are you? If you want to give it out, it's up to you.
Yeah, you can search Husker Wadrow. So Husker Wadrow on Instagram. That's the best place to find me.
All right, perfect. And don't forget, this Sunday night we'll have a live call-in show. So 7:00 Eastern, 6:00 Central. Join us on Facebook and YouTube, and give us a call. Be a part of the show, and we can talk about this if you want to, because it's gonna be something fun to talk about on Sunday night, and hopefully on Friday we'll have a kind of a clip show from stuff we record down at Marathon Weekend. That's the goal. It's not a promise. It's a goal, but goals are meant to be broken early in January. That's what we do, but we're going to try. Scott and I are going to try to get the phones out, record interviews with Blizzards and other folks that are around, maybe some on-ride audio if we can get that, just stuff around the parks and the resorts to bring you some sounds from Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend 2023. So that's the goal for Friday's show, but we'll see what happens. Either way, you'll have a show. I promise you that. All right, we're going to let you get out of here and get on with your week. So again, thanks for joining us. For Scott and Wade, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Wednesday. Time to get back to work. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
Great episode.
Yeah, I like that. We need to do that again.
Yeah, that was fun. So I've always wondered if it was Husker Wadrow or Husker Wadrow. So I'm glad I know how it's said now.
Husker Wadrow. Yeah, it comes from, like, in high school, I had a couple friends that just, Wadrow became kind of like a nickname, Wadrow. So just years later, had a couple other friends that were like, man, you love the Huskers. You're always all in, going to bowl games, going to away games. You're Husker Wadrow. So it stuck. And so at the advent of, we're all remember, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, I was like, well, Husker Wadrow it is. So,
I like it.
Super creative. Be our guest, Mike. I gave that about 5 seconds of thought.
It works.
Mine's from my dad. My dad actually he just one day was like, you should just be called Epscott, because you always talk about how you love Walt Disney World and Epcot's your favorite part. Why aren't you just Epscott? I'm like, I like that.
That is a good name.
Oh,
because you know what? And here's the thing. When I see those buses at Walt Disney World, there's buses that say they don't say Epscott. What do they say?
It's like Escott or something. Or,
because every time I think they say Epscott.
Yo Polly tags me every time he sees someone share one of those photos. It just cracks me up.
Yeah, I always see those. I'm like, there's one of Scott's buses.
Yep, we'll see them at Marathon. They're always out there. They're
everywhere. I always see them over at Epcot. They're always around Epcot,
which is weird because it looks like it says Epcot or Epscott.
It totally does. All right, I'm gonna cut you guys loose, and I'll talk to you later.
Sounds good.
That's good.
See you.
Have a good one. I'll see you later.
All
right. Bye.